Yeah, that's right.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, a whole lot of stuff.
How long degrees go for?
I don't know.
Too late now. You do, you just greasy.
Make sure I ain't too greasy.
Oh, yeah. 1 minute.
You gotta blot it. You gotta blot it.
That's a beauty secret. Oh, that's a lot of beauty secrets.
I'm here to help.
Hit the live on this.
Yes.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. We are live.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, come on in, man.
we live now. All right. Anybody want to ball me?
Yeah.
I do the stick. I do the rock. Watch the pop. I make it drop. Woo! Freestyle on a Sunday. Okay, my bad. Yeah. Okay, we ready. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I had to wait on that break. I couldn't cheat it, bro.
Yeah.
You ate them up with that one.
I'm trying to think something.
Yeah.
All right.
And eased out.
Here we
DJ
are.
style.
Yeah, man, that was great, man.
Thank
You did
you,
a
man.
good job
I'm
there, man.
getting
Yeah,
better.
we improving every week.
Amen. So glad to be here.
And we're here at episode 9.
Yeah.
And we're coming to you live from the Spill Cup Studios. This is the Real Spill Podcast.
Yeah.
Yay! It's the Real Spill.
Episode 9.
Episode 9.
y'all.
Man, we come a long ways,
Yeah,
man.
we're doing it, man.
And we got such a long ways to go, man. So,
Yeah,
I'm telling man.
Yes, sir. And I'm your favorite Rand, Cold Steel. And this is the Real Spill Podcast. Yeah. Appreciate y'all tuning in, man. We got another good episode for you. As you see, we got some more guests. You know, we growing.
Yeah,
you know,
we are.
people want to come by.
Yeah.
We almost like celebrities.
Yeah.
Well, not for real now. Just,
They're celebrities.
yeah, they celebrities. We
Yeah,
not.
we just two guys, man.
Yeah, with a podcast.
With a podcast.
We
just
should
two
have
guys.
called it that. Two guys with a
Two
podcast.
guys with a podcast.
Okay,
Man, that's
well,
what
just in case somebody try to copyright or something.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. Anyway, yeah, all right, bet. All right, so anyway.
So here we are again, man.
Yeah.
Episode 9.
What it called here?
It's the window closing.
The window is closed.
The window is closing.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess we put it in the form of a question. Is the window closing? I know you're probably asking, what is that all about? It's the window closing and everything. And Coach Steele gonna tell you what that is all about. It's the window closing.
I appreciate that setup, player.
Thanks.
That was good, man. You Chris Paul that time.
Yeah, we improving.
Oh yeah, no, you're doing good. So look, check this out. So my man right here, which we didn't even introduce our guest yet.
Yeah.
One is a returning guest.
Yes, he is. Yay!
Okay, you know what I'm saying? Cherry Bomb.
Cherry
AKA your favorite diva.
Your favorite.
AKA the pretty thing in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Okay,
She
you know
is.
what I'm saying? AKA Sunshine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She returning back. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate you gracing us with your presence again. And then right here on my right, I'm so excited to have her.
Yes, sir.
A legend.
A legend.
All right, you know what I'm saying? K Mill.
They trying to touch me.
Yeah, I gotta say
They trying
that.
to touch me, man.
K Mill, aka the Grind King, aka I work harder than you, aka I'm gonna get to this bag. You know what I'm saying? That's my boy right here. He Forresdale all day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot of
And
love right there.
yeah, we appreciate y'all coming, man.
Yeah, we
Appreciate
do,
y'all
man.
coming.
I'm glad to. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're gonna start with
Okay,
Miss
yeah.
Cherry.
You want to
Bum.
do the intros? Okay,
Yeah,
she went ready. Yeah,
Just tell
okay,
us a
good.
little bit about yourselves and everything. What you want us to know.
Yeah, don't snitch on yourself. Now.
Yeah.
You weren't even supposed to be here with it. Somebody think you somewhere, don't you? Damn. Yeah, that's just, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
You gotta stop.
We're gonna start with K Mill then. Yeah, K Mill, I just want you. Maybe this will give you opportunity. Well, no, to give you opportunity, man.
Okay.
Maybe mention the business you in.
Yeah.
Free
Shout out to yourself, man.
Okay, yeah. Just a little bit about me, you know, graduated from Alabama A&M. Shout out to all the Bulldogs out there.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I've been owning my own business now for 8 years now.
Yeah, that's great.
I own that with me and my wife.
Amen.
I've been doing that,
All right.
holding it down. I've been in the hair industry about, say right about 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, you do a good job, man.
A little bit about me. So I encounter a lot of different personalities, a lot of different walks of life. I have that pleasure, dealing with a lot of different people and have different ways of thinking about different things. So yeah, man. Y'all got me on.
I joke with people all the time, man. You kind of like a therapist for real.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
I like to think of myself like a therapist.
Yeah. I know you help me out a lot of times, man. You know what I'm saying?
Man. You just gotta have those listening skills. Sit there, man. Listen to a brother. You know what I'm saying?
Hear him out.
Like Sid said in barbershop.
Right.
It's a black man's country club. Everybody know that.
It's the black man's
Everybody know that, man. So,
you get to deal with a lot of stuff.
Right.
Unload a lot of
back
emotions
and
feelings.
chill out and just unload and
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you having a place for us to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna set the episode up just in case everybody wondering.
Before you do that, man, I just want to thank him for saying it's a pleasure to have his customers come in there. So he was thanking for the customers coming in there because in his job, it's competitive.
Very.
And
not when you the best, though, Taylor.
Well,
when you good at what you do, though.
But what I found out is some people will, even though they know he's the best, because he is the best in town,
right?
And but because it's crowded, they may say, "Well, I'm going somewhere else." But man, like he said, but he recognized that it's a pleasure for people to come to sit in his chair, to get their grooming done, at his barbershop, man. So I think that deserves some applause.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna give it up to you, man. We're gonna give it up to you, man. You came a long way from scripting, man. It's a long way from scripting, man. I remember them days, player. Yeah, rough.
Times out there.
Yeah. No more baby oil for us, player.
Hold on, that's another show, man.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about that one later.
That's another show, man.
All right, but we appreciate both of y'all coming. But the episode, The Window is Closing, actually was inspired by K-Mill. We were talking one day, as we do often. And, we were just like, man, we were talking about men and women, whether it's relationship goals, life goals, career goals, family goals. And then we was talking about being in your prime and that window of opportunity to accomplish a lot of those things that you want to do in life, you know what I'm saying? And then we were just saying like, well, dang, when is it too late? Or is it ever too late, depending on what you're trying to do. So we just wanted to kind of touch on that today, the window is closing. Is it closing, depending on who you ask. So we're gonna just start off like that. Y'all want me to go with the first question, or you want me? You got something to tell?
Yeah, let's go.
Y'all ready? Okay, I'm gonna start out then.
Let's get right through that.
Well, I was just trying to, still be a gentleman. That's
Yeah. Ladies first. Yeah, ladies first.
Always ladies first.
Oh yeah. So here we go. Yeah, we're gonna start off with this. So I got a question. When, Cherry Bomb, do you feel women are in their prime? Like, what age do you feel women are in their prime? Because, they say when you're in your prime, that's when you're supposed to get, I guess, the most things done or try to get as much done during that time because that's when you're at your best. So when do you think is the window for a woman when she's in her prime?
Different people view that differently. So most men typically look at women as being in their prime somewhere between their 20s and 30s.
Right.
I've heard from experienced women that life changes drastically somewhere between your late 30s up until your 50s. And the way that you behave and handle things change drastically at that age group. So I think that for two different groups, we're going to have two different viewpoints on it.
Right. So okay. So you believe what 20? Well, you said what's your opinion? 20 to 30s? You think 20 to 35 somewhere around?
I think every day you in your prime.
Oh, I like that. Good answer. I respect that. I like that. You still look like you're in your prime too, girl. Well, you are in your prime, so yeah. Okay, K-Mill, I'm asking the same thing for men though. What do you think is the window for men in their prime? You know what I'm saying? For when they're at their best. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I know we was actually, having some barbershop talk about that. We was talking about that.
Right.
And with men, in our maturation process, we got to go through a lot, and the finances is a lot, in that.
Right.
We want to make sure we can provide, because, let's just be honest, a man is only as good as what he can provide.
Okay.
So we only start to get off into a career. I'm not talking about jobs. I'm talking about careers.
Right.
roundabout, late 20s, early 30s, going into our 40s. So I mean, although you would say physically a man in his prime would be 25 to 35 as far as physically, but I'm talking about as far as in a providing sense, I would say 30, and then and up 30, 40, 40, So I would say the prime would be between 30 and 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
So when you say you're in your prime and in your pursuit, what's in your early stages of your goal setting? What is more important? I'm gonna say get in the bag, or relationships, or does it has to be a combination of the two? In your early stages of your prime, from y'all definition of prime, so you're saying your 20s. I think both of you are college educated. So you come out of high school and you say that this is what I want to do. And even though you may not have done what you said that you wanted to do, but when did you say that, okay, I'm just going after this bag and everything else has to take a second? Or do you say, I got to manage them both?
I think for me, myself personally, things kicked into high gear my late 20s, early 30s for me. And that's where I am now. Of course, when you're younger, you don't necessarily view everything the same way. So I think things kicked into gear for me maybe my late 20s when I knew what my options were and what possibilities I had available.
Okay, all right. And if I can tag that question, when did you see that this thing is real? Life I'm talking about.
Life?
Yeah. When did you see that this life is real? I always like to say, if you take the L and the E away from life, it leaves you with ifs. When you start seeing the ifs and you say, hey, this is real.
Right.
And so I need to make a decision on what I need to do. Or does that come later,
I think for varying situations, for myself personally, exposure brought about some things maybe my teenage years, but my mid-20s, early 20s is where it kind of kicked into gear for me.
When you say exposure,
yeah,
what are you basically talking about?
Being able to see the world without a parent kind of blanketing everything for you.
Okay. And that happened when? At what age?
Teenage.
In your teenage years?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So even in your teenage years, you realized that at some point in time, you was going to have to move out on your own.
Yeah, some stuff out here.
Okay.
All right. It's real.
Do you think that that's the norm?
No.
Okay. All right.
I didn't have a normal upbringing, so no, I don't think that.
Okay.
Most people don't really probably see that until maybe they're, especially if they went to school, probably their early to mid 20s.
Okay. All right. K-Me?
When you got real viewpoint.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. Around about again, women seem to, kind of get to that
mature a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to go ahead and get up to the women.
Yeah. They mature definitely.
They kind of figured out a little early.
Right.
We still be stuck in the playing state, but like she said, it's in college, but it's a little bit later. And if you don't have a collegiate experience, I'm gonna say as a man, you notice it get real around about 22, 1, 2 up in there. You like, man, it's really real out here. Like I gotta get my money together. Like I gotta make sure I can provide not only for myself, but if I want to help my mama out or do certain things that you want to do,
travel, all that,
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm gonna say early 20s, man. I'm gonna have to really go and say like that. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
If you could speak to young people today, and when I say young people, I'm talking about, because you two are still young. You know, we're gonna
thank you,
say that y'all under your
all this grace age difference.
Yeah. Well, they told me it was experience. You know, it comes with wisdom. Yeah, that's what they say. But if you could speak to, you had an audience of 11th graders, and you could speak to them, what would be your advice to them from what you've learned so far in life? You know, from what you learned so far in life, I think I'm assuming, right, both of you are parents. You know, both of you on your own. You know, and so you know about, you know, Alabama Power and all of that stuff rolling around and everything. So
it's recurring.
Every month. They never stop.
Yeah, they never stop. You know, I think the word is perpetual. You know, they just keep coming. They just keep coming. But what would you be your advice to some young people, 11th graders? What's that? 16, 17 years old. You know. And you know, they're in school, they're in high school, they're at home with the parents. You know, sometimes that's, you know, can be different things. But what would be your advice to them, you know, from what you know right now?
My first thought would be for me to tell them to stay focused and to understand what they want and who they are early on before getting into what they should like based on what their peers are saying. So figure out who you are, what you like, and what you want, so that you'll know what to entertain as you grow older.
I like that good stuff right there.
I like that. I would tell them to wear condoms and stack your it's facts, bro. I'm just being real.
That's important. Yeah.
Wear condoms and stack your bread, man. You know, hey, enjoy as long as you can. Staying with mom or dad or whoever it is you living with.
Do it.
Enjoy it as long as you can. Save your money. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, when you get outside, it's real out here, man. It's real. It's a jungle out here. But yeah, that's what I would tell the babies.
And me, I would tell them basically to follow your passion, man. You know, you know, your passion may not necessarily have it monetarily, but you know, your passion will lead you to money. You know, whether you believe it or not. You know, so I would say, you know, definitely follow your passion and to piggyback off what you saying, just stay focused on, you know, have goals and stay focused.
Right.
Stay on task.
Oh, no, I like that, man. And then it's important to write those goals down too, man.
That's good.
You know, write the goals down. Give you something to look at, give you something to strive for.
Yes.
So yeah, man, you know, it give you, you know, something like I said, something to see every day, and then when you watching yourself getting closer to that goal, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I got another question there. Can I
Sure.
fire off one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cherry Bone, you ready? I'll come at you first. Yeah. All right. Check this out. How important is it to reach your goals?
Extremely.
Okay.
And I say that because as much as people act like they don't care, being able to achieve and conquer something means a lot to everybody.
Right. It does. So I mean, and then let me ask you this. So let's say you have a certain set time for a particular goal that you're trying to reach, and you don't meet that mark. How do you handle that? You know, do you get upset? Do you reevaluate the goal altogether, or do you just say, okay, it wasn't my time? How would you handle that?
I would reevaluate the goal and my expectations because I think it varies. There are some things that you can do within a certain amount of time, and then there are some things that you may not have the knowledge to know that it takes more time to accomplish.
Right. Like me want to be a race car driver when I was 5.
That may be something you need to look
into. I didn't study up on that enough. Man. Yeah, it was a hard lesson when I found it out. There's a lot to go into it. But okay, what about you, Millie? You know what I'm saying, man? When you don't reach your goal, or how important is it, I should say, to reach your goal?
I definitely feel like it's important to reach your goals. I feel like everyone should have certain dreams and aspirations and certain, you know, mile markers to hit in life. You know, if you don't, then you kind of end up doing nothing. And you know what I'm saying? That's the reality of a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? They do nothing. So, not only that, I just feel like, you need to have realistic expectation, guys. You know what I'm saying?
So, now what you mean by that when you say real expectation?
Well, we got a problem in the black community, with our youth. They want to be more so towards the next LeBron James and want to be the next Future Drake. And, the reality of it is, it's just some of them don't even have the talent or the resources to actually even do that, So I say, to say what we were saying, to tell the youth, hone yourself with skills. You know what I'm saying? Because, when you go to fix something, you don't always use a hammer. So have multiple tools in your bag and multiple skill sets, on you. So you know what I'm saying, that make yourself valuable out here into society where people can use you. You can't be used, man. You can't get no money, and people don't want you.
Right. So increase your value by learning more. You know what I'm saying, developing certain skills. You know what I'm saying. I like it. That's good right there, player. That's good, because if I had learned how to get past the speech impediment, I could have had that rap career, player. I could have had that rap career, man. But it's all good though. It's all good, It ain't too late, right?
It ain't too late.
Okay. It's a lane for old rappers?
It is.
At some point, you just gotta get it up.
Dream crusher.
It's a lane.
Dream crusher, man.
You gotta find the lane, though, Kelly.
You
gotta find the lane.
Find your niche. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's all good.
So since we're talking about goals, and I know goals can change as you age.
Right.
And as you get into another stage of life,
right.
I'm pretty sure your goals in your 20s and your goals in your 30s may be different, and they may be more different when you get into your 50s or your 60s.
Right.
And you see your goals change. With that being said, are your goals now, where you are now, and younger, what's more important, material-based things or character-based things?
Character.
And could you expound on that? Why?
Character matters more than anything. You can always achieve something materialistic, but I don't care how much development you give a person. If they don't have it in them to have good character, they'll never have it. It's something that you just...
But society is telling you that, you got to have the Ferragamo bag and not just, which is $12,000.
But maturity will be able to tell you that you don't need the Ferragamo bag. Maturity will be able to tell you that that's not something that's essential for you, considering where you are in your life right now.
I will tell you to drop the mic after that.
But you're trying to fit into society. So when you go out, so the question is,
that's a follower's mentality.
Okay, so I guess the question is it better to look prosperous or to be prosperous?
Always better.
And how would you be prosperous?
Sometimes you have to put it down so that you may not look prosperous in the eyes of other people. I noticed that you were bringing up some of the materialistic things that people tend to kind of cling to with brands and things. I've seen that too heavily, especially now.
Right.
But when you look at it and you realize that you can have a body full of labels and still be tacky. You can have a body full of labels and still nobody glances at you because you still don't have the pizzazz you need to carry it.
Okay. Boom. I'm trying to do a clue on.
Okay. So from a man's perspective, K-Mia, from a man's perspective on that same question, what's more important, character building or materialistic building?
Well, I'm definitely I'm a character guy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely go with character.
Yeah.
I say that, you have to have certain things. I ain't saying like materialistic things, but as far as in life, you gotta have a car, certain things. But I mean, like you said, you don't necessarily have to have the nicest car at that time that you can get.
Right.
But you know, as long as you possess certain things that you have to to function and you gotta get money.
Yeah.
You gotta get that.
You gotta have money.
So you gotta have a car, and if you got an apartment home, that's always good. You gotta have someone to lay your head.
Yeah.
So certain things you need to acquire as a man, as being a single black man, or just being a man, in general.
I like it.
And I might be stereotyping now, because I'm not really around a lot of teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems that, and I know the media is pushing this, that you gotta have a certain shoe. You can't just have just a plain old shoe, or you're gonna get clowned. So what would you speak to these young people? We're going back to the young people because you guys been out of it for a few years, that age group. But what would you say to the young people to make them look at it from more of character building than material building?
These material things won't mean anything a year from now. Everything has a season to it. So what's popular fall of 2023
Okay.
is going to be behind the times as of fall of 2024.
Okay.
And consider how hard you're working to try to keep up with labels and keep up with people's idea of what's valuable. You'll be working hard and still not accomplishing nothing.
But everybody in school, they laughing at me because I don't have the latest.
Talking about your bag.
I don't have the latest.
Jordan.
If you
Well, I didn't want to call a brand
pizzazz,
name, but I don't have the latest shoe.
You got them Air Gordons.
they wearing Balenciagas now to school, so
Yeah.
so it's serious.
Yeah.
They busting $700, $1,200 shoes easy, but
What?
yeah, it's a thing.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. What's going on?
It's everywhere.
Oh my goodness. Time to change,
Yeah,
man.
it has.
Oh man.
It's everywhere,
I'm
but
doing good with a pair of Air Forces.
So what would your advice be to that instead of because what I'm going for is does trying to keep up with these standards make you drop your character to do things that you shouldn't be doing?
Yeah, I feel
eventually.
that. I like it.
Yeah, okay.
It's almost like you're selling your soul.
Almost, yeah. It's almost like you are selling your soul.
To a degree, I mean, especially if you're not in a position to do that. But I think that there were so many people in my school growing up that didn't have the Jordans, because we were on Jordans and Forces and all that stuff at that time. So,
Right.
there were a lot of people who didn't have that, but they had the pizzazz, they had the personality, they had the character to where they were still the popular kids, and they were still known and respected, and they still got invited everywhere. They still were in cahoots with other people. So it doesn't take all that. You just develop something on yourself that can't be taken away,
I like it.
and you'll win every time.
So character is priceless. You can't put a price on character.
No, you
It's
can't.
golden. So okay.
Yeah.
So if I got a pair of LA Gears, but my personality just on 1,000, I can get it. I can get fine light. That's what you're trying to tell me with the LA. I'm talking about the light up LA Gears too. Can no answer. Okay. All right.
No, these drastic.
I'm just saying, because there might be somebody out there wearing, rocking them. I just want the babies. I want the babies to know that it's okay. It's okay.
Something that's more popular, like you say, it's a shoe that we feel in our neighborhoods. We all the African American, blacks, whatever you want to call it. That has you got to have them. Or you hear the kids, I just got to have them. But what about these other shoes? It could be some that's not as popular.
Right.
So why is it that we've allowed that to happen where your shoes make you more valuable than your character?
The lack of reinforcement is probably
And
one
not
of the
just shoes,
issues.
but material things.
Yeah, but the lack of reinforcement, and making sure that people understand that materialistic stuff comes and goes, but it's not as important as we put the value on it.
Right. Okay. So let me ask y'all this then. Let me ask you this. Kim, I'm gonna start with you on this one.
Okay.
The pressure, as y'all was saying, that to look a certain way, to have certain materialistic items, what I'm saying? Like you said, if you're not really secure with your character, you will feel pressured, I guess, to buy those things, right? But do you think there's something wrong with setting a goal for wanting to make the money to buy those material things? You know what I'm saying?
That's a good question. Good question.
You know, or should you be focusing on something else? I mean, because like I said, you know, if you got the money and everything, you know, it's really not hurting you. You know, like Cherry Bone said, but you know, if you sacrificing other areas in your life to achieve these materialistic things, then you know you kind of cheating yourself overall. But I mean, do you think it's okay though to strive to get a career or a job to make that money to buy those material things?
I mean, honestly, man, I'm gonna have to just like piggyback off Miss Bomb, man, because she was just like, she said something that was profound. She was like, hey, you just gotta know where you are in your life at that time. Like, can you really afford that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you, you know, not have your power be a to get the red bottles? You know what I'm saying? That's nuts. So, you know what I'm saying? I just think, you know, have realistic, you know what I'm saying, goals and mile markers you want to hit, and yeah, you know, when you make that big bonus and you know you work real hard and you get that, you know what I'm saying, I think you know, treat yourself, you know, give yourself something. But you know, if you in a situation where you know you finna spend thousands of dollars on an item and you know you ain't got things right down, you know what I'm saying, you know you need to get another car, you know, you know you want another house. Right. You've been in this apartment, this is what you've been talking about, so you know what I'm saying? Right. Why would you put a couple of grand off into, you know what I'm saying, a bag or putting that in some Red Jordans or something, you know, because the fellas go crazy with that, right? They do. So, your feet look good, but you look good. You know, I got homies that you walk.
But you walk.
Right. No, I like that. But what about you, Miss Cherry Bone? Because not to pick on you as a woman, but women, well, maybe I ain't gonna say that, but in my opinion, women may be a little more materialistic as far as, you know what I'm saying, men go.
Maybe it's the ones that you're interacting with.
Okay,
wow.
Person shot with that.
Wow.
We'll talk about that later. Okay, well, let me rephrase the question then. As a woman, is materialistic things important to you, or would you rather have a man with character? You know what I'm saying? Somebody who is basically saying, you know, hey, I got everything lined up financially. I'm not that flashy though. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean?
Everybody's going to be different. But if we're talking about relationship, I'm going to pick character every time. Because you could be a crappy person and yeah, you might buy purses and shoes and whatnot, and that's grand. I mean, I think that's fabulous that you can hop on the gram and be fly and go everywhere and still, you know, be jazzy as possible with, you know, $1,300 bags or whatever. But I personally think that a person can give you all those things and still leave so many other slots empty on a spiritual level, on a mental level. Y'all don't connect on anything outside of finances, or there's potential for that to happen. Not to say that everybody who gets gifts doesn't have connections with their spouse, because I know people who do. But me personally, I would pick character over that. Now, that's not to say that because you've got a grand character that you should stop trying to achieve things. And you should not be comfortable and not live to be comfortable, because the goal is to be comfortable.
Okay.
But it isn't necessarily to say that you having money means that I need a bag or I need shoes. Because me personally, I prefer experiences, but we're not here to talk about it.
Oh yeah, that's another topic. I like that though. I like that.
So, K-Mill, you are a entrepreneur, and Cherry, you work in the field. You, what I'm saying is, you work for a company. You work for a company.
Yeah.
And so, K-Mill, how important is motivation in the fact that you're a sole entrepreneur, and how important is motivation in you being what made you want to be a sole proprietor, entrepreneur, you know, your own boss? You know, what was it that, you know, made you want to do that instead of going into working for someone else?
Well, that's interesting because, you know, I actually went into working, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was just something that, like, naturally, you know, and I'm wrong for this, but, you know, I was actually doing a lot of things my friends was doing. You know, my my friends was like, hey man, we going to school and we doing this and that. But I really wasn't into a school type guy. Like that really wasn't my thing. But you know, you see the path people like go down that don't really have any direction.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying. You try to go ahead and be like, you know, let me at least stay focused and do something. And then you know, my mom wrestled, so she wanted me to get a degree. So
Okay.
so you know, so that's what led me down the path of education. But you know, I actually had started experimenting with clippers and doing things like that. So you know, I just kind of was always drawn to like hair and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was something I just kind of kept going along with while I was in school. So I was kind of honing that craft while I was in school. So I would tell anybody, man, you know, I really didn't choose entrepreneurship. Kind of entrepreneurship
chose you. Okay.
Yeah, I would say that. That's why, you know, if it's your passion, it's kind of gonna drive you on its own. Yeah. That's my biggest thing. That's why I tell people, man, follow your passion. You gonna get to the bag.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you being an entrepreneur, that means if you don't go to work, you don't get paid.
Right. Which is that's a whole nother different motivation, and you know, that's gonna all come from the Most High. You know, you just gotta ask Him to help you and guide you, and you know, He gonna reveal it to you. So you know, if you don't have that, I guess that spiritual type connection, then you know, you need to just find something that drives you. You know, and something that you believe in that'll drive you.
And so, Miss Cherry, you work for a company.
Correct.
And what motivates you to move?
I want to provide a life for my daughter.
Okay.
And you can't do that without getting up and going to work every day.
Okay.
I like it.
So your motivation comes from what you have to take care of.
That's correct. Within this particular job, that's correct.
Okay. To both of y'all, and I know now you young people call it your hustle or your grind or whatever. You know, you got your job. You know, K-Mill's a sole proprietor. You work for a company, but
a great company too.
Yeah, great company.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But how important is it to and K-Mill, you said you're doing your passion.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm asking, how important is the grind or your hobby and turning that into being prosperous for you, even if it is money, or is that something that you have to do to release stress or to just put you in a balance? How important is that? And is it important to have that grind or that hustle to get ahead?
Well, yeah, I think it's like it's levels to everything, and if you have that grind, that job that you do, your 9 to 5, I feel like you should at least try to build your own capital to go ahead and follow your passion and what you actually believe in. So at some point, you can actually just have enough to follow it. Because at some point I feel like if you keep on pushing, it's gonna work out. Cause all the efforts you put in there, God gonna bless it, man. You just gotta put the efforts in. Put the efforts in, and it's gonna work out. But the problem is a lot of people don't put the effort in, and they say they done sold out, but you ain't sold out. You know what I'm saying? It's a different type of sellout when if whatever I hunt, I eat. It's different. It's different out there. Every dollar counts. It's just like any amount made today, it's a blessing. Any dollar that I came in the house with over than what I left is love.
Yeah, I got you.
So it's just you just gotta have that faith and just keep pushing. It's gonna get up.
Okay. This is a loaded question.
Oh.
And I've heard K-Mill. I already know who he is, but I've heard him talk about faith, and I've heard Cherry talk about faith, not tonight's per se, but at other times. So I'm assuming that all of us believe in God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I want to ask you all today, and like I said, it's a loaded question. I'm gonna put you on the spot. How many of you was in church today?
I streamed.
Yeah, we did your virgin.
Yeah,
Okay, so but you were there. You was in church. Okay, all right, and I was there too, and everything. So my question is, how important? I know you all believe in God and the higher power, but how important is church in this society, and with the fact that you have children?
A good church home is essential. While we may not always be able to be there in the physical way, for a variety of reasons, I think that it's essential being able to get a word to kind of get you through the week, or at least the next few days until you catch Bible study, for some of those who are able to catch Bible study. And I also think it's essential when you're teaching your kids values, because the values found in the book aren't found anywhere else.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, church. No, I didn't quite make it today. As far as
we ain't judging you though.
Yeah,
okay?
no
Thank
judging.
you. All right, we ain't judging you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But
we're gonna encourage you, but we ain't gonna judge you.
Yeah, I have mixed emotions about the way the structure of church. But I do have those values, and I one of them type of kids who grew up in church and vacation Bible school, and it was a cool experience. It was different then though, because church did a little bit more. Things done kind of changed, over the years, and but that's another topic. But as far as the values, like she was saying, I strongly believe in that, and I think if more of our women would actually go back to some of those values and those upbringings from back in the day, then they would find themselves in a situation where they ain't so single. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you have to make yourself appeasing to a man. You have to draw them in, because although women can have these check boxes, that they want to have, you know what I'm saying, but it's only the man that's gonna marry you. You know what I'm saying? So if you can dumb those down and maybe have, start with some things that, of course, you ain't trying to dumb yourself down by no means, but, if you could limit some of those boxes and maybe, find a guy that's really for you.
Right.
And willing to accept you for you.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay.
Church actually does set up those values, but yeah, man, I feel like, if we get back to it, I think society, it'll be better.
You think it'll be better?
As a whole, yeah.
Okay, so there's a challenge to all of us.
Yep.
Hashtag get back in church.
Yeah.
So, because from what you just said, it taught you values, and it was important to you.
Exactly.
It should be important to you raising your children there. And I believe if we go back into church, we challenge the leaders to get back to church.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
We got to challenge those leaders to get back into the same type of upbringing from back in the day. Where we, like I said, church has changed a bit. Back when I was going to church, we had people that to go get certain people of the congregation, and it was just like we fed people. We brought in homeless people. We don't really do that much. If a homeless man walking First Baptist, man, look here. I ain't saying it's a bunch of First Baptist guys. I ain't saying.
You just saying in the church.
I'm saying in the
church.
Yeah. He might not get the warmest welcome, but and a lot of things that they were doing like job placement. You know, you have people that just down, you know, let me look yo, Mr. Sister John, you know, she work up there, she know how to XYZ. It just ain't a lot of that going on these days.
The community has changed.
It has really turned into a business, and you see that, you know, it's really about the money. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be about saving souls. Okay. But you know, it just kind of done went away from that. Yeah. You know, it's kind of done turned into a money game. So yeah, we can get back to the old school Christian values and all those things that, you know, we kind of came up on, which raised you and me and all of us. You know what I'm saying? I think we'll be doing pretty good.
So we have any people out there that that's in the church? These young people are telling you basically the reason why they're not coming, because the values have changed. And that's why I say the church needs to get back to being the church. And when the church gets back to being the church, then, you know, the challenge is that they will come back into the church to make it stronger, just like it was when they grew up and everything. Right. So that's the challenge for all of us, to get back to teaching values and teaching those Christian values, but teaching it through the church.
And I think if those values come in, man, you know, we can help with, you know, because let's just be honest, man. I mean, statistically, man, black women are the most singlest race, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, somewhere in the values, it has changed. You know, it's a lot of preaching about independency of a black woman, and she don't really need a man, and that should be as far away from the truth as possible.
It is far away.
We need each other. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it's always been. So, you know, I think it's just a lot of, you know, masculine energy that a single person has to have raising a child, and rightfully so, because you know what I'm saying, you got to be mama and dad.
Yeah, they're playing both
But
roles.
you know, when you finna cross over to the dating world, you know, I feel like some of our women just have to kind of scale that back and kind of just let a man be a man, and you know, do the things that, you know, he's supposed to do.
Okay.
You heard it from these young people, man, is that men need to get back in their place, you know, being men. And they're saying that if men get back in their place of being men, I'm speaking for the women now, they'll be happy to go, because they'll have something to choose from, because they know that man wants to be a man.
Right, and he ready
Submission
to lead,
is easy,
you know?
when there's something to submit to.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
We hear you. We hear you. We hear you. We just trying to make a platform to be heard, so we can move back to it, so we can not only hear it but adhere to it. You know, and everything. So that's the whole purpose of the platform, is to put it out there. What do we need? Because we can talk about our communities need to change, but how do they need to change? And what do we need to do for them to change? And so we've heard 2 weeks in a row from 2 young men who were entrepreneurs, who love God, but were saying the church needs to get back to being the church, to nurturing. The church needs to get back to being nurturing.
Absolutely. We can't have all these, you know, the homeless people that we have under these bridges, man. You know, unfortunately, it's all people of color, man. We at the bottom of the, you know, the food chain out here. So, you know, if the church get back into, you know, helping those people there and saving souls and you know, job placement and everything, because all that can go down in church, because it's a huge congregation, so it can definitely happen. This is gonna take a little work, guys. So you know.
So we want to change our communities. Let's get back to being the church. We don't have to change it. Just get back to being it and nurturing, and then we'll see more men, we'll see more women, and we'll change our communities from the inside out. Man, that's great, man. That's good. Cole Steele, you have another question?
Oh yeah. We're gonna get back on the freeway right quick.
Okay.
Let's see. I had a question. So, how important is it? Well, let me ask you this: Is it such a thing as being too late to achieve your goals? You know, do you feel like? Yeah, you know, like do you feel like, depending on what you're trying to achieve, is there an age limit to do it? You know what I'm saying? Or do you feel like, hey, no matter what, as long as I'm breathing, as long as I'm above ground?
For some things, I think there is an age limit.
Like
and sometimes you have to be able to kind of sit back and say, okay, this may not be a reality for me. Or this may not be a reality in the way that I dreamed it would be.
For example.
Yeah.
I'm
kidding.
We need an example.
No, you good.
No, you good, man. That's a good question.
No,
Yeah, it's a real spill, man. No, that's good, man. Cause that was my same question too. Give us an example of that.
She banging it out there, so
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come up with something random.
No, speak from the
No, it
heart.
ain't gotta be.
Yeah, speak from the heart. Is
Yeah.
there something that you
Like
want to
I'll use your example.
Okay.
When you were joking about being a race car driver.
Yeah.
So
you saying it's too late? What you trying to tell?
It's a time for
Okay, cool. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's a time for everything.
Explain it to me. I'm gonna let you have the floor. Go ahead.
But let's say, and I'll speak from a woman's point. Let's say you are a young girl and you'd like to be or start being a ballerina. Okay? There's an age gap for ballerinas. Historically, they have a cap for how long you'll be able to do it because it's strenuous on your body.
Yes.
There's only so many things you can do to be a professional ballerina and have it be a lucrative career. There's a small space available for that even as a young girl starting out. So if you are already reaching at your cap, it may be time to sit back and reevaluate the way that you can embrace that community. Maybe you won't be able to be a ballerina, but maybe you'll be able to be a coach for someone, or maybe you'll be able to develop the next person. The same thing, I guess, for guys with sports. Knowing what you're physically able to do. Or a race car driver. Maybe you can work in the pit for somebody.
Or you can own the car.
Yeah, or you can own the cars, but maybe being able to get out in the field and be the body that does the work may not be the thing that you're able to do.
Okay, so like you said, you would tell someone who maybe got to that cap, hey, look, doesn't mean you still can't be in that world.
Right.
Yeah, your initial goal was to be a dancer, but you can still be around it.
Right.
I like that.
You still make an impact.
Right.
And that's still kind of achieving her goal. Or
in a sense, because
goal.
You're still touching into your passion.
Right. You're being around something you love to do and something you want to do. Okay, that's good.
So the goal doesn't change, but the way that you enter into the goal or how you affect the goal can change.
Right.
Okay.
Just a little tweaking. You just gotta tweak that goal. Okay.
A little bit.
What about you, Player? You think it's too late, I guess, or just depending on what the goal is?
Well, just back on like what I was saying, earlier, I was like, you gotta have mile markers, man, that show you like that's gonna direct your path, make sure that you.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off, man. Explain that mile marker.
Yeah, like you gotta have certain things in place, like what. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna have this done by this date. And you're gonna have to stick to it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ain't done things to get to that place or to get to that position, then it's time to scrap that. And it's time to go back to the drawing board or redirect something, guys, because time is of the essence. We're not here long, guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, a lot of people just, got that idea that we're just going to be here forever. It's just not like that.
Every day.
You know what I'm saying? So every day we breathe out, we got to thank the Most High, man. You know what I'm saying? And make the best of that day, which is a lot of the reason I name my business New Day. Every day is a new day for you to be the best you.
A new opportunity.
You know what I'm saying? A new opportunity to be the best you.
The best you can be.
I like that.
Yesterday don't matter.
Yeah.
No,
it's a new one. You know what I'm saying?
So,
yeah,
I like that.
I just feel like, set those not only set goals, set mile markers upon reaching that goal to make sure you're on the path.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, because every day the window is closing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The window is closing.
That's how I put title episode in there.
Yeah,
like
I noticed that. Yeah, you did.
All right. Yeah. I just look like this, y'all.
If you're enjoying our conversation and if you're enjoying our podcast, I need you to like, subscribe, and share. About the Real Spill podcast. My next question is: we know that in setting goals, motivation is important. To have motivation, but what would you say is more important, motivation or discipline?
I like that. I like that right there.
Yeah, that is.
Cherry.
Come on with it, Cherry Bone. Don't get scared.
Got me on that one. Tell you what.
Yeah.
Discipline, I think, would reign superior.
So define discipline in your words for me. What is discipline?
Your ability to put your best foot forward consistently, your ability to continue to pour into whatever it is you're trying to craft.
Right.
I think that would probably be most important. Because you can be motivated to do something, but if you're not sticking to it or going as hard as you know you need to be going, you may not be putting as great of a foot forward as you think you are.
Yeah, like me with the race car, I drive fast every day. That's my motivation. But I ain't got the discipline that I need to get to the next level to be really about it. I got how I felt that. Yeah, I feel like you were talking to me right there. Okay, I like that. What about you?
Well, you said from 5 years old you wanted to be a racer?
Yeah. I wrote it down. I still got no piece of paper.
Don't give up on your goal, man.
I appreciate that talent, man. Yeah, it sound like the other two over here hating on me. But yeah, I appreciate that, man.
K-Mill.
Yeah, I think you need a little bit of both, to be honest, man. As you just get into that, man, you have to be properly motivated, but it's gonna take a certain amount of willpower and, like you say, discipline to just see things through. So
excuse me. Do you see willpower as motivation, or do you see that as discipline?
That's tough right there.
Yeah. Me personally, I feel like discipline. It line up more with discipline with me. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta have the will to keep doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, even though it doesn't give you the right results at first.
Right.
Yeah, it's not gonna. That flower, that seed is not gonna be a flower. You gotta keep watering and watering it, and you like, man, it almost seems like this seed going the other way. You know what I'm saying?
And let me ask you that. Let me piggyback on that. So, what? How would you tell someone, or maybe you've even told this to yourself before? I don't know, But how would you tell somebody that has been, striving to accomplish a goal, like open a business, for example, and they just keep failing, not necessarily all on them, not that they don't have the discipline or the motivation, but things just not lining up, and let's say a certain amount of time has passed, and they just like, yo, I'm ready to give up. I done tried everything I can do in my power, and I just can't accomplish it. I can't get to where I want to be. I mean, what would you tell somebody? Would you tell them stop, or would you say keep pushing, or when do you? Better question. When do you know when you need to stop?
Yeah, that's a good question right there, man. Because starting a business is extremely hard.
Yeah.
And it's only about 10-12% in your city.
That's low numbers right there.
In your city and state. So it's rough out there. But I would like to say that if you ain't poured all that you can into it, I don't like to say that you tried. Cause man, if you actually got a plan and you done wrote down different things and you got of course realistic expectations of what your business should be.
Right.
I feel like if you have done those things properly, you should see some type of results. So I think at some point you should have a self-evaluation of what have you honestly and truly poured into your business.
Right.
And if you have truly poured into your business, then maybe you should redirect something and maybe go in a different direction. Not to say that you gotta completely wash the business away, but you may want to try to compromise in some type of way to where it's not because sometimes you put so much into something, you can just go like belly up, man. I lost it all pouring up into this business. You know what I'm saying? So I think at some point you gotta self-evaluate and see exactly where you